Hello and welcome to this third part of a three-part series of Q&A videos developed to address a wide range of questions that have been submitted at barrelracingtips.com. To get started, ask yourself this. Have you ever had a horse act spooky and afraid and distracted when you really needed them to focus and be tuned into you? Or have you ever had a horse ignore or resist your request to move in a certain direction or in a certain way the instant you asked, in a run for example? If your horse seems to lack confidence and is insecure, or whether your horse is overly confident and has his own agenda, in both cases, there's likely to be some gaps in the leadership you provide to your horse. The solution then comes in learning to understand what our horses really need from us and how we can provide the leadership that will create calm, connected, responsive barrel horses. Now you might wonder, why is leadership so important anyway? The answer comes in studying the nature of horses. They are prey animals wired over millions of years to either protect themselves not just against danger, but any potential danger, or get eaten. When we begin to really look at the world through the eyes of a horse, it creates a completely new depth of compassion and understanding for them. And it creates a great new motivation to learn more about how we can relieve their stress and do our part to provide them feelings of security and comfort, which is ultimately will help them learn, perform better, and generally be a lot more fun and easy to be around. Later in this video, I'll be explaining 2 specific exercises you can do anytime to better establish this foundation of leadership. They are also great to fall back on in those high-pressure moments when your horse needs you most. First though, I wanted to mention that just because I'm an advocate of natural horsemanship methods doesn't mean that everything is all gentle all the time. Again, let's look at horses in nature. If a young horse gets out of line, he's likely to get a swift, powerful kick. And in some cases with our horses, providing adequate leadership means being very firm, just as a boss mare would be. At the same time, it's valuable to take a close look and think about whether our horse's issues may be related to fear or respect. One example is the many times I've taken my 2 horses for a walk together in the months that one of them was recovering from an injury. The dominant horse of the 2 would pin his ears and threaten to bite the other, more insecure horse. Now, although when you provide proper leadership to your horse, you will begin to see changes in how he interacts with other horses, even when you're not around, when you are there, you must reinforce the fact that you are the leader in that herd, meaning it's completely inappropriate for one horse to dominate and threaten another horse when you are the leader. Again, this dominant horse would get a quick bite of the halter snap with a flick of the lead rope if I'm on the ground, or I might stop and ask that dominant horse to back up briskly to remind him of my leadership, which would be much like a boss mare letting a warning kick fly. When I take action like this, I'm requiring the dominant horse's respect, and I've become the insecure horse's hero. When I do nothing though, I've lost an opportunity to provide the leadership our horses so desperately need, and signs of this lack of leadership will continue to show up elsewhere, in the dominant horse's rude behavior and the insecure horse's lack of trust and confidence. Now, it can be hard to tell which is the core reason for your horse's challenges, and so you may do exactly the same thing at times to step up and provide leadership in either case. But knowing your horse, the things you do and the way you do them may change a little based on your individual horse's natural tendencies and needs. Remember, we're not just looking to mask our horse's behavior or have them look or seem calm and well adjusted, because looks can be deceiving. We want our horses to be truly happy, calm, and confident at their core. To work toward that, you may, for example, stop to release and reward your horse when he relaxes or when he's responsive, depending on which your horse seems to be lacking. Your thoughts, intentions, and energy must adjust to fit the situation. You may need to be a more firm yet provocative and interesting leader to a dominant horse, or more courageous yet patient one for a horse who is more insecure. Again, remember, it's not just what we do to address these issues, it's how we do it, and especially the timing in which we start and the timing in which we stop. As in our last Q&A, the key is to notice when any tension, distraction, or unresponsiveness occurs and then take appropriate action to resolve it in the instant it comes up and work through it until your horse starts to focus on you, relax, move in the way in the direction you want, and be happy and confident to do so. The more you take care of your horse's need for leadership, the more willing and confident he'll become over time, because you're empowering him with feelings of safety, which is really what horses are so desperate for. Now I've got 2 simple strategies for you that will work wonders for restoring calm, focused energy. The first one takes place on the ground, and we'll be going to the barn for the second. The first is a groundwork exercise in which you lunge your horse in half circles against the wall. When they come around one side, step toward the hindquarters, twirl the end of your lead rope if necessary to ask them to disengage their hind end. Once they have done so, switch your hands on the lead rope and step to the opposite direction and point with the rope in the new leading hand to ask your horse to move his front end over. Head back on that half circle the other direction and then repeat. This works so well for getting your horse's focus back on you and confirming your position as the leader, because you're controlling the hindquarters, the forequarters, monitoring the speed in which your horse travels, and asking for lots of changes. You're also asking your horse to move between you and the fence, which can be uncomfortable to horses due to their claustrophobic tendencies. So you can actually build their confidence and trust in you each time they pass through that space. The second simple miracle exercise for restoring relaxation and focus is simply trotting small circles. Now, there's more to this than meets the eye, because if these circles are not done in the right way or at the right time, it's not going to be nearly as effective. Let's go to the barn and I'll explain. We can see here that initially .com was showing some tension in his body, high-headedness and a desire to go faster than I wanted. The reason trotting small circles works so well for addressing a horse's emotions is because there is a direct connection between a horse's mind and their feet. So when they become out of balance emotionally, it usually shows up in the feet as an overwhelming desire to move them, or perhaps a complete unwillingness to move them. To provide the leadership they need from you to be focused, willing, and calm, you'll ask for very dynamic, meaning quick, yet extended movement in a small circle repetitively. Then throw in lots of changes in direction, and with a combination of leg pressure and rein contact, ask for even full body bend. It's so important that you ask for the full body lateral bend, because this helps take away any brace and vertical tension. If your horse tends to get unbalanced emotionally around the barrels, you can even make these circles around the barrel and then figure 8 a circle away from it and then back around the barrel. Asking for lots of change in direction brings their mind onto the task at hand, so they don't have an opportunity to worry about distractions. Asking them to really hustle meets their need to move their feet when they're worried, and helps restore brain function, again because of that interesting connection between their feet and mind. When you control the speed and direction and you ask your horse to move even a little more than they may have wanted, it's a demonstration of your leadership. When you display quality leadership in general, with consistency and time, your horse will become much more emotionally balanced. It's also vitally important that you do this long enough, at least until your horse noticeably relaxes, becomes more responsive, lowers his head, sneezes, blows out, or works his mouth, which are all signs of releasing tension and resistance. When he does, give him a break to soak it all in. To wrap this up, let's go over a few points to remember when it comes to providing proper leadership. Remember, chances are that it's not your horse that has an issue with being bad or naughty. It just may be that you haven't provided what he needs to feel and be good. When we really look within and commit to becoming better, we often realize that we weren't a person with a horse problem, but rather we had a horse with a people problem. So if your horse's body ever gets bracy and stiff, or if your horse ever gets mentally distracted and isn't really present and responding to you, or if they have trouble moving with a relaxed, even extended stride, and instead are high-headed, taking quick, choppy steps, or if they just ignore your request and aren't as quick to respond to you as you'd like, then you quite possibly have some emotional issues going on. If the symptoms are subtle, I'm sure you've realized that it will still take away from your barrel racing. But the good news is this can all be completely turned around by learning to become a better leader for your horse. I hope this video will help you get on track to doing just that. As always, the action takes place in the comments below here at barrelracingtips.com. Today, I invite you to think about the environments in which your horse has displayed behavior that suggested he needed more leadership. What did you do about it, or what would you do differently based on the ideas I've provided? Thanks again for watching, and remember, applied knowledge is power.